This may appear as a thought suffering as a result of another thought.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So this may appear as anything. So the one who's suffering is just this appearing as a thought that suffers as a result of another thought.
Yes.
So this is there's just this. So this is everything. Yet it's nothing. So thoughts are this too. So this may appear as a thought that seems to suffer, that seems to be a victim because of another thought. But what seems to be a story, or what seems to be a you, is just this appearing as that. What seems to be a separate you is simply a thought. It's nothing else but a thought.
Why does it seem so real? And it just seems so real, and it's just thought.
Nothing is real. Nothing is real.
Yes.
Nothing is real. So, because there is already no one there. So what seems to be happening right now has got nothing to do with you. All those thoughts appearing, they're just thoughts. And they've got nothing to do with you. Because there's no you there. There's no you to believe in thoughts. There's no you to suffer. So the sufferer of a thought is just another thought. So there is actually no sufferer. Because when thoughts are looked for, they cannot be found. So there's nothing there. Even the one who seems to be looking for a thought is not even there. So there's already nothing. What seems to be a you is just an imagination that is appearing in wholeness, as wholeness. So there is actually no real person. It's just what seems to be imagined in this. So a separate you is an imagination. It's just to, simply recognize that this is just an imagination. It's just simply to notice that all this is imagined.
Just an imagination.
There's no actual real person there. There's no actual Alice there. There's nothing there already. So talking, asking a question, wondering may happen, but it's not happening to anyone or for anyone. Anything may arise, but it's got nothing to do with you. Thoughts may arise that, I'm suffering. Why I'm still in me? That's just another thought. That's a thought. It's nothing. It's nothing at all. There's no one behind that thought. It's just a thought that seems to arise in this. So that thought belongs to no one. Because there's actually no one there. It's just what seems to be appearing or imagined. Can the one can an imagination get anything? I mean, can it understand anything?
No.
Can it become anything?
No.
Why?
Because it's nothing.
Yes.
Because
it's just an imagination. It's just to simply recognize that it's all imagined. So there's actually nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. There's no path. There's no journey. There's nothing to do here. What seems to be a you, a separate you, is an imagination. So that one cannot receive anything, cannot become anything, cannot get anything, cannot understand anything, because it's simply an imagination. And when it tries to understand this, it simply collapses. It just drops, because it's not actually there. It's an imagination. It's just a thought. It's nothing else but a thought construct.
I have a thought that is suffering from another thought.
Yes. So when thoughts are like moving around, going around, up and down, allow them to be as they are. Don't follow them. Yet there's actually no one to follow thoughts. It's just this. But in a way, it may seem as if when the thought appears and then the attention engages with thoughts, it may seem as if you are there with thoughts moving around, trying to fix things. But you have never gone anywhere. You're always here. You've never gone anywhere. You've never done anything. You've never moved. You've never gone to work. You've never been to anywhere. You're always yourself. You're always here. There's nothing. So when moving around seems to happen, that's just an imagination.
That's also, yeah.
Yeah. You imagine yourself to be a separate individual who's moving around, but you have never done anything. You've never moved. You're always here. What seems to be the movement is just what seems to be appearing as this. So this is that it doesn't actually move except in its own imagination. It simply moves in its own imagination, but it doesn't actually move. So when I say it moves in its own imagination, that means it doesn't move. Because what is imagined is just
nothing.
It doesn't happen. It never happened. It's just an imagination. So what seems to be a you going around, moving around all these years, that's just a story that is imagined this by no one. So that's just a story. It's nothing. It's just a story. You have never moved. You have never done anything. You have never said anything. You have never understood anything. You have never misunderstood anything. You've never got anything. So there's no one to get this. There's no one to become this. There's no one to understand this. There's no one to be one with this, because there's only this. There's no becoming this. There's no understanding this. There's no getting this. There's no knowing this, because all there is this. There's no one to be anything here. There's no one who's saying anything. There's no one who's listening. There's no one who's about to get this. There's no one who's suffering. And there's no one who's asking a question. All what seems to be happening, all what's going on is just everything. It's just this wholeness. There isn't actually a separate person who's understanding anything, who's getting anything, who's about to get anything, who's closer to becoming one with this. It's just this. So it doesn't really matter what happens, because what seems to be happening is just an expression of this. This is not separated from anything. This is wholeness. This is everything. This doesn't have individuals. This doesn't see individuals. This doesn't know individuals. It knows itself as everything. So there's everything here. It's everything asking a question. It's everything not getting this. It's everything trying to get this. It's everything. It's got nothing to do with what seems to be a separate person. Because what seems to be a separate person is already this.
That's beautiful.
It's just this imagining itself to be a separate individual. So there's actually no separate person already. So everything in a way is beautiful just the way it is. It doesn't need to be suppressed. It doesn't need to be changed. It doesn't need to be done better. Even if it seems that it's happening, it's just this. It's got nothing, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong or right with it. There's nothing wrong or right with anything. It's just what's happening. Then they may seem to be thoughts saying, oh, it's happening to me. I'm suffering this. Why is this happening? I wish I was not here. Those are all thoughts. Those are imaginations. There's actually nothing wrong with what's happening. Unless the thought says there must be something wrong with this. Yeah. Somebody may be mad at in the shot. It's in front of you. But if a thought doesn't say anything, it will seem as if nothing happened.
That's right. Oh.
Then a thought, if a thought says, oh, they shoot him, the guy got shot, then it seems as if something just happened. But when there are no thoughts, it doesn't actually matter. But a help may be given, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. There's actually no one is doing that. It's just what's happening. Because this only sees itself. It doesn't see the other.
It only sees itself.
And this cannot be understood. What I've just said, it cannot be understood because there is actually no one to understand this. Because all there is this. So I thought somebody saying, I wish I could get this. That's just a thought. It's nothing. There's no one to get this already. Everything that's happening has got nothing to do with you. Thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, they're just simply thoughts. They belong to no one. There is no owner of thoughts. So there's already no sufferer of thoughts. There's already no thinker of thoughts. Thoughts are just what seems to be happening. Just like anything else. If all is this, everything is this, then who's looking for this? Who wants to become this? Who's not getting this? Who's getting closer to this? Is it not this already? It can only be this, imagining itself to be a separate individual, dreaming itself to be a separate person who's in the journey of getting this, which is itself. So it dreams itself as somebody who's in the journey trying to meet its own self.
Yeah. It's trying to meet its own self.
So even that is just what's appearing within its own self as its own self. So it's just what's appearing. It's just a story that seems to appear as it.
Yes.
So there is no separation. There's nothing outside of this that can find this, or that can talk about this, or that can talk on behalf of this. Also here, there's nothing that's is trying to teach or to talk on behalf of the wholeness. There's just wholeness as it is. There's no one here who's trying to convince anyone.
I see that.
Yeah. And there's no one there who's listening already. There is only ever this, nothingness. What seems to be a you is a thought construct. It's just a thought. What seems to be a separate you is just an imagination that seems to appear in this as this. There's no actual separate person. There's no real separate person here. It doesn't actually exist. It doesn't actually exist. There's no one who's waiting for anything. So there's already what seems to be happening, and there's nothing wrong with it. There can never be any better this.
No better this.
It's just this.
That's okay.
Don't run away. Don't run away from it. Just embrace it.
Embrace it.
As it is. Embrace it. Go through it. And you'll discover that it's nothing. But if you run away from it, you make it to be something.
Yes.
Greater. Bigger.
Bigger. Yes. More painful.
Exactly. Feel the emotions. Feel those sensations. Just embrace them.
Yeah.
Don't suppress them. Just allow things to be as they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Don't say this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Just allow things to be as they are. Then you'll discover that everything is beautiful, just the way it is. Yeah, there's only yourself. There's nothing else. But what seems to be a separate self is just an imagination. So everyone and everything is your own self. So right now, you're talking to your own self. There's no you and there's no somebody else. It's just this. You've never gone anywhere. You've never done anything. You're not doing anything right now. So nothing is happening here. There's no somebody else because there's no one there. Already. This is not telling somebody that there's no one there. This is not doing anything. There's talking happening, but nobody's talking. There seems to be a listening happening, but nobody's listening. Somebody saying, but I'm listening, that's just a thought. That's an imagination. Listening is happening, thinking is happening, seeing is happening, but no one is doing any of that. It's just what's happening. Somebody saying, but I'm thinking, that's just an imagination or a thought that appears in this as this. So it doesn't really matter. The thought may say anything, it doesn't matter. It may say, oh, I'm suffering, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for a job, I'm going through so much problems, but it's nothing. It's nothing. It cannot be found. It cannot be held in view. It cannot be seen. Even the one looking for it cannot be found, cannot be seen. So there's nothing.
Just an imagination.
Yes. Nothing ever happened.
And I point to my head. I guess I think that's where my imagination lives, but even that doesn't have a place, does it?
It's not even your head. There's no you there. Nothing belongs to you.
Nothing.
Everything is you. You are everything. There's no separate you. In a way, labels seems to create separation labeling stuff, like when you say the floor, kitchen, wardrobe, the door, the fridge. But that only happens in the story.
Yeah.
Because even labels are this too. Everything is this. Yet it's nothing. So even the one who wants to get this is already this. So there's nothing to do here. There's actually nothing to do. The one waiting is already this. The one who seems to have got this, have gotten this, it's already this. So it doesn't really matter what's happened. The one who says, I have a question, it's just this, appearing as that. The one who says, I have no more questions, it's just this already. So it doesn't really matter what seems to be happening, because what seems to be happening is just an expression of this.
So if I were to ask a question, that question would be, how did you say that? A question. Go ahead.
There is no one who's asking a question.
Okay. And
there's no one doing it. It's just this. Everything is doing it. Or nothing is doing it. You can say there's only evidence. Nothing. There seems to appear as everything. So all stories are this.
And that's a story.
Yeah, it's just a story. That never happened. That doesn't happen. They're not in the past. They're not in the future. All those thoughts of the past, they appear now. Yeah. So we are here. They've never been to the past. They've never been to the future. They've never been to anywhere.
Never been what?
To anywhere. They're always here as nothing. So we are formless and empty. We are spaciousness. And not what appears. Everything is your own self.
Everything is my own self.
Yet everything is nothing. What seems to be happening is happening to nothing. For nothing. There is no real separate individual. Can anything affect an imagination?
Nothing. Nothing.
So let's say if you were to imagine that there is a huge lion.
Yes.
That is about to eat you. Right behind you.
Right behind me?
Yes. Can you run away?
I'd give it a good shot.
Well, it's just an imagination.
Oh, I'm imagining in my head that there's a line behind me. Okay. I would not run
Yes.
away. No.
Exactly. It's simple to notice that, oh, it's just a thought. It's an imagination.
Yeah.
So you can't run away from what you're imagining because it doesn't actually exist. It's not even there.
Doesn't exist, yeah.
So when you imagine that there's a lion there's a hungry lion that's about to eat you. And then you can see, like, you can imagine, like, those saliva, like, falling down. It's very hungry and thirsty. Would you scream, and shout, and run away?
Not if it was just my imagination.
It's just simply to notice that, oh, it's just an imagination. There's no real hungry lion. Oh, it's an imagination. But no one is actually discovering that. It's nothing seeing nor noticing that there's just nothing. It was just an imagination. So nothing ever happened. What seems to be happening is only happening in an imagination. All is imagined in this by no one. This is effortless and obvious. So, excuse me, it cannot be understood, it cannot be known, it cannot be gotten, it cannot be held in view, it cannot be seen, because there's actually no one, it's just it. All there is this. So there's no one who's outside of this who can become this or know this, because there's only this. There's only itself, nothing else. So no one can teach about this. No one can describe this in a better way, because there's only this. All what seems to be happening is already this. Wholeness, everything. There isn't any separate person who has become this better than anyone. There is no one who has ever become this. There is no becoming this. It's just this. Every expression is this. Every sensation is this. Every thought is this. Every feeling is this. Question, thinking, wondering, confusion is just wholeness appearing as that. The rooster, chicken, it's just wholeness. There's no good or bad.
There's no good or bad.
It's just what's happening.
It's just what's happening in this at the moment.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong with anything.
It's beautiful, Nkosi.
Everything is just what's happening, and it's beautiful the way it is. When somebody says, "Oh, this is wrong," it's just a thought that seems to appear in this. It doesn't mean anything. When somebody says, "This is right," this is just right thing to do, it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just a thought. It's nothing at all. It's nothing at all. Or things should be done in this way. Or things should not be done in this way. It's just this. It's okay. It's just this. Everything is this. Somebody saying, "I hate you." Another one saying, "I love you." It doesn't matter, because all is this. Somebody saying, "I'm not getting this." Another one saying, "I've got this." It doesn't matter.